You know, when you think about it, today might as well just be my birthday, because this leak, if it's actually real, it's all I've ever wanted. Today we're going to be talking about Dead Space, a series that's been dead for almost a decade at this point, is possibly coming back, and I am just so excited about it. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're taking a look at this article over on Eurogamer.com, which has actually got a pretty good source. So let's take a look at the evidence, let's talk about why this is important, and really dig into why this is actually a really big deal for the industry itself. So here we go. Report: EA Motive is working on a revival project. Star Wars Squadrons developer EA Motive is working on the revival of an established fan favorite IP. This is according to comments made by GamesBeat's Jeff Grubb, and he's, of course, always a very chatty gentleman, and it was picked up by Video Game Chronicle, which tallies with information we've also heard. So, essentially, the opening statement of this article is the fact that now multiple journalists, multiple sources are all seeming to confirm the fact that something is about to happen over at EA. Now, of course, Jeff Grubb, he's a guy that likes to be very silly and goofy. Some of his statements you can't take literally, like they're definitely not doing a Nipple DLC 2. I mean, maybe they're doing Nipple 2, who knows? Nipple 1 actually went over pretty well. But my thought is this: if Jeff Grubb is claiming that this is happening, I believe it, because this guy has just thrown out so many incredibly concrete and good leaks in the past. This certainly has my attention, but going back to the article itself here, here's what actually got my attention, which is this. According to Grubb, EA plans to announce this project at its upcoming EA Play event in just a few weeks' time, so act surprised, which means that there's actually been some talks about the fact that EA decided not to go to E3. They wanted to actually do their own Electronic Arts presentation in a time where they could basically get all the attention to themselves. But I think that this is definitely beginning to lead to the validity of it. What could it be? Well, a tease from Grubb makes it pretty obvious. We're going to see it if we're not dead first. Oh my god, EA's Dead Space franchise was mothballed in 2013, with Dead Space 3 being launched to lukewarm reception. The first two Dead Space games remain beloved, though the developer Visceral Games sadly shut down in 2017. Now let's face facts. EA is in a weird spot. They're very much hated. A lot of people flat out say that Electronic Arts is one of the very worst games publishers. Their individual development teams make some great stuff, things like Star Wars. Like, let's face it, the newest Star Wars game was fantastic, and more importantly, it was a solid single-player experience with no microtransactions, no DLC, and shockingly not even multiplayer to it. It seems like Electronic Arts is starting to open their eyes to the fact that you can make a big budget, single-player game, and if it is high enough quality, you don't need to have all that stupid, crappy season passes or crazy extraneous content. It will still sell, so perhaps they're beginning to take a second look at old-school franchises that used to sell well in the past and have now been killed off, which is a big reason why I think that this Dead Space leak could very possibly be legit. And to lend credence to this, I think we just need to look no further than what we just got with the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. That was 3 games packaged together, looking good, playing good, absolutely just updated and refined. If you haven't played it yourself, Mass Effect Legendary Edition was an incredibly good package. It was just so good, and honestly, it managed to feel even better than it did in the past. You took games that were already just 10 out of 10 experiences and made them even better with a little tiny bit of tweaks. And I bet that was very easy money. Now, let's just face facts. These publishers, they exist for a singular purpose, which is profits. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why they're around. They're actually spending hundreds of millions of dollars to create these projects. I understand that they want that money back. But now I'm thinking this. What are we actually going to get from this Dead Space project? Is it going to be Dead Space 4, or is it going to be a Dead Space trilogy? Now, I think it's going to be both. If I could actually just make a very, very random guess, Dead Space has been a series that's definitely much more loved in the past. Things like the original 2 games especially, these are absolutely freaking perfect. They are just so good and so sharp. Whereas the 3rd game, obviously they started to put in really weird microtransactions and stuff, even in this older EA game. Now, this kind of sounds like I'm just insulting the Dead Space 3 that we got, but I think that this is a good opportunity for, honestly, EA to make another easy buck. They could actually just correct some of the stupid choices made in Dead Space 3 and sell 3 games that are already finished, that are already developed, for a full $6 price tag, and then additionally starts work on Dead Space 4. Now let me just say this, Dead Space is actually a very big franchise, and a lot of people just don't even realize it. Not even talking about console sales and stuff, the game's sold a lot of units, but additionally, the developers plan to create a huge Dead Space universe. In fact, this is true. A couple years ago, I randomly read the Dead Space book, which is fantastic. I watched the Dead Space movie, which kind of sucked, but it's obvious that the intention has always been a long-running series of Dead Space games. 3, 4, 5, 6. They wanted to do a ton of these games, and because the idea is just horror in space, you can kind of position it however you want. Any protagonist, any character, any universe. I mean, the fact that this is just such a limitless idea, to me, it seems like it could very much print money, which, let's face it, that's what EA wants the most. To be quite honest, the thing that makes this leak seem the most real to me is just that the date is coming up so quickly, because I feel like a lot of these leaks and rumors and just crappy posts we see on Twitter and stuff, a lot of them seem so loosey-goosey, because they don't have these concrete dates or deadlines. To me, it's more difficult to believe in them, whereas the fact that this is just coming up now in exactly 1 month from when I'm filming this, it makes me think that this could be very, very valid. Can I just tell you a random story? I love Dead Space. It actually has a very big place in my heart, but specifically Dead Space 2. So years and years and years ago, I was randomly dating this really weird, creepy, rich girl. She actually had this mansion out in the woods, and I had a terrible fever one weekend. I was actually running a fever so high, I was having difficulty telling if I was awake or if I was asleep. I was stuck in this weird dreamland. It was absolutely terrible. I could not, it was hell. I seriously thought I was going to die. I was so freaking sick. And so she's like, all right, what do you want me to do? I can give you some water. I can give you some fluids. I can give you some toast. What do you want to try and feel better? And this was the weekend that Dead Space had come out. So in my freaking stupor, I told her, go get me Dead Space 2. And she did. She went out and bought me Dead Space 2 on opening weekend, brought it back to her mansion where I'm sweating to death on the couch, and I played all of Dead Space 2 completely unable to actually discern reality. It felt like the monsters were real, and it made it such a heightened experience. One of the things that definitely sticks in my mind the most was the eyeball stab scene from Dead Space 2. Oh my god, so graphic, but when you're unable to tell if you're actually alive or dead in real life, it was such a positive experience, which sounds crazy, but it was one of those things that stuck in my mind as a lover of horror, as a lover of scares, to be just trapped in this environment where I'm so freaking boiling in my own mind, but I'm able to enjoy this very messed up story inside of it. And it's completely burned into my permanent memory. I've never been able to forget it, because it sounds like a negative time, but it was fantastic. It actually gave me this centered focus. It gave me this thing to realize, okay, this is false. I am real. What's going on? And it's one of those things that I feel like I'm never, ever, ever going to just take for granted. It made me actually respect the art form of good scares, of jump scares, of good frights, of fantastic monster designs. So the idea of getting a chance to experience all of Dead Space again, even Dead Space 3, which, let's face it, has some issues, I'm so excited for it. Or if they only go to the future, if we just get a Dead Space 4, which is probably going to be called something like Dead Space Revival, I'm certainly down for it. This franchise, this universe, it just means so much to me that I'm definitely on board no matter which direction we go. Forward or back, I'm definitely on this freaking hype train from start to finish. But what do you think? Are you excited for the idea of Dead Space coming back? Do you not really care? Have you watched the terrible Dead Space movie? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you remember the freaking Dead Space Wii game, tell me about that as well. You guys rock. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. And you know what? Keep dreaming. Man, I gotta hit that rich girl up. Maybe she's still a total weirdo. She smelled like cheese. I didn't even think she ate cheese, and she smelled like cheese just all the time. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.